So, hello dear all. Now we are second part of our talk, that is cancer and its causes. Obviously, first and foremost, whenever we talk about any disease, first questions comes in our mind, what is the cause for that disease? How it has happened? Why it has happened? Why it is happening to me? Okay, so this is the common questions comes to our mind. So therefore, it is very, very important to know about the causes. Okay, so what causes cancer? Okay, let's talk one by one. In the screen, you can see easily, I have mentioned few of them, not all of them. Okay, so the cancer occurs when there is uncontrolled cell growth or abnormal cell division. And if there is any DNA damage, so mainly three factors play an important role in tumor formation and contribute to the increase in incidence of cancer. And all those three already on your screen. So let's take one by one. Carcinogens. What is carcinogens? Carcinogens are the factors that cause DNA mutation, and they are known to cause cancer in our body by making changes in gene level. Second point, genetic susceptibility. It is also important in cancer development, along with factors such as poor living condition. And the third one, or what we call additionally, all these factors such as X-rays, gamma rays, radioactive materials, cigarettes, free radicals, asbestos, silica dust, air pollution, food additives, various type of drugs, oncogenic viruses, etc. All basic additionally are, they play very important role in the as a cause of cancer. Okay. Now there are some factors which is that reason that influence this disease. Some are outside and some are inside. So when we talk about the factor outside body, indirectly what we say, environmental factors. Later we'll talk about the factor inside the body as well. Okay. So according to Globocan, the exposure to a wide variety of natural and man-made substances in the environment accounts for at least 2/3 of all the cases of cancer in United States. These environmental factors includes lifestyle choices like cigarette smoking, excessive alcohol consumption, poor diet, lack of exercise, excessive sunlight exposure, and sexual behavior that increases exposure to certain viruses. Other factors include exposure to certain medical drugs, hormones. Rather, I could say the misuse of these medical drugs and hormones is also very important, factors. Radiation, viruses, bacteria, and environmental chemicals that may be present in the air, water, food, and of course, work at the workplaces as well. Specifically, when you talk about researchers, when they are not taking proper precautions a few years before, it was reported in our own university when students working in research lab where they are using carcinogenic chemicals. The cancer risk associated with, many environmental chemicals have been identified through studies of occupational groups that have higher exposure to these chemicals than the general population. Okay, so now let's talk a little bit about the factor inside the body. Okay, so for instance, some people either inherit, okay, or acquire conditions such as altered gene in the body cell, okay, or abnormal hormone levels in the bloodstream, or a weakened immune system. Okay, so each of these factors may make an individual more susceptible to cancer. Okay, one of the way scientists knows that genes play an important role in the development of cancer is from studying certain, rare families where members are several members over the several generations develop similar type of cancers. Okay, so it appears that these families are passing on an altered gene that carries with a high chance of getting this cancer. Okay, several genes that greatly increase a person's chance of developing certain cancers like colon cancer, breast cancer, or ovarian cancer have also been identified. Only a very few, only very small percentage of people in general population have abnormal copies of these genes. Okay, so what I would say that gene alteration may also contribute to individual differences in susceptibility of environmental carcinogens. It means sometimes people say that, look, we are staying at same place, we are have the same diet, we are having everything is same, but why a person got particular disease and why not other? So this is the reason for that. The gene alterations may also contribute to the individual differences in susceptibility to the environmental carcinogens. And as you know, because the people differ in their ability to eliminate, the cancer causing agents from their body to which they have been exposed, or to repair DNA damage that caused by such agents. So higher rate of cancer in families may also be related to shared environmental exposures like diet or exposure to carcinogens at workplace or any other places. Okay, next, what is the interaction between these environmental factors and these genes of which we're talking about just in last moment? Okay, so these environmental factors such as viruses, sunlight, and chemicals interact with cells throughout our lives. Okay, so mechanisms to repair damage to our genes and healthy lifestyle choices help to protect us from harmful exposures. However, over time, substances in the environment may cause gene alterations which accumulate inside our cells. Okay, so while many alterations have no effect on a person's health, permanent changes in the certain genes can lead to cancer. Okay, the chance that an individual will develop cancer in response to a particular environmental agents depends on several interacting factors. Okay, so you can say like how long and how often a person is exposed to a particular substance. His or her exposure to other agents, genetic factors, diet, lifestyle, health, age, and of course gender. For example, diet and alcohol consumption and certain medications can affect the level of chemicals in the body that break down cancer-causing substances. This complex interplay of genetic and environmental factors increase the risk of developing cancer. Okay. Now, nature of you should discuss. Let's talk about nature of the cancer. Okay. So, cancer begins inside a cell. Okay, a basic building block of all living things. We all know that cell. Okay, so normally when the body needs more cells, so how it will happen? So it means older one will die off, and younger cells divide to form the new cells, and that takes their place of the old. What I'm talking about, old cells. Then, when the cancer develops, however, this orderly process, that older cells will be replaced by the new cells. So this orderly process of producing new cells is get disrupted. So cells continues to divide when new cells are not needed, and a growth or extra mass of cell called tumor is formed. Over time, changes may take place in the tumor cells, and malignant tumor is formed, which invades and interferes with the function of normal tissues. Okay, so it takes many years for the development of tumors, and even more years until detection of tumors and its spread to other parts of the body. People exposed to carcinogens from smoking cigarettes, for example, generally do not develop detectable cancer for 20 to 30 years. It doesn't mean that someone is taking, smoking cancer. If cancer is supposed to happen, it happen after 20 or 30 years. No, it's a general statement I'm giving. But exceptions are there. Sometimes people just have 1 year of smoking and that person have the cancer. Cancer got detected in that particular case. Okay, so there is much evidence to suggest that permanent changes in our genes are responsible for tumor development. Okay, so these can be inherited or acquired throughout one's lifetime. Okay, so scientists have identified more than 300 genes, okay, that can play a role in tumor development. What we call an alteration in the growth promoting genes known as oncogenes. Okay, for example, can signal the cells to divide out of the control. Understand? When it is in normal, control manner, it is fine. But here I say an alteration in growth promoting genes that known as oncogenes can give signal the cells and the cells to divide out of control. On the other hand, an alteration in the tumor suppressor genes, which normally serve as brake for this dividing cells, will allow cells with damaged DNA to continue dividing rather than repairing the DNA or eliminating the injured cells. Okay, I hope in brief I have cleared nature of the cancer. Now let's talk about the role of genes and environment in the in the development of cancer. Okay, so the cancer is a multifactorial disease. Okay, most genetic factors and environmental factors such as viruses, bacteria, radiations, and eating habits and chemicals increases the risk of developing cancer. You can see a graph on your screen that shows that almost 9 to 10% of all cancers are thought to be related to heredity, and as for the rest, maybe up to 90% of the cancer have their roots in the environment and lifestyle. Okay, now you can see another graph on your screen. It will say approximately 25 to 30% of this cancer due to tobacco, 30 to 35% because of diet, 15 to 20% of infections, and the remaining percentage of other factors like what we call radiation, stress, physical activities, environmental pollutants, etc. causes cancer-related mortality. Okay, so in terms of the genetic factors, the mutations in multiple genes, including oncogenes, tumor suppressor genes, and DNA repair genes, can lead to cancer formation rather than a single gene. Okay, so these genes causes cancer through three main biological pathways. Those pathways are cell cycle, apoptosis, and differentiation, which are normally regulate tissue homeostasis and cell growth. Okay, now what is the relationship between this cancer and genetics? Okay, so let's talk a little bit about it. Inherited genetic factors play an important role in cancer development. Okay, the mutation of the critical genes, including, I have already mentioned before, tumor suppressor gene, oncogenes, and genes involved in the DNA repair, that leads to genetic instability. Okay, and the cancer development. Okay, so several genes related to inherited cancer have been identified on case like leukemia, certain childhood tumor, colon cancer, and especially breast and ovarian cancer. Okay, Now, the relationship between the cancer and the carcinogens. You all aware, the environmental factors such as X-rays, gamma rays, radiation emitted from the radioactive materials, aniline type of dyes which we are using in our research laboratory, cigarette, free radicals, asbestos, silica dust, air pollutants, food additives, you know, nowadays, even in our country also, we are start preferring packed food, I will let you know the next slides about the, different, map of the world where cancer cases are more and less, and then you can correlate with your food habits, okay? Or the way we are preserving our food or our lifestyle, okay? So besides that, I said there are various drugs also. So some of the chemicals used in perfumes, all our young generation, and of course, all of us like perfumes, oncogenic viruses, and bacteria plays an important role in the risk of cancer. So let's see the global map. The world map here in front of your screen, you can see the world map, the age standardized estimated cancer incidence rates for year, this is the for year 2020, have been represented, and you see here the dark blue color in the region of North America, Australia indicates higher incidence, while a light blue color in Africa and India indicates relatively lower incidence. So we always praise Western lifestyle. So now we can realize we are far, far better than some of these countries. Okay. Now you can see one more graph here that represents the estimated number of new cases among females worldwide for year 2020. You can see here breast cancer represents 1 in 4 cancers diagnosed among women globally. Colorectal, lungs, cervical, and thyroid cancers are also common among women. Another graph you can see here that represents the estimated number of new cases among males worldwide for year 2020. Lung cancer and the prostate cancer are the most common among men, together accounting for nearly 1/3 of all male cancers. Okay, so after this part of my talk, let's conclude what I have told. Okay, now the previous slides we went through the various causes of cancer, but how can this knowledge help us in long run? Let's look at the various important points that we can draw from this system. Cancer is a multifactorial disease due to a combined effect of genetic and external factors acting concurrently and sequentially. Okay, this is WHO statement, what I could say. Okay, knowledge of the risk factors can help in the prevention of this disease. So therefore, awareness is very, very important. Cancer prevention requires proper planning and systematic assessment of cancer risk factors at the country level to obtain good quality and comparable country level data, and of course, the course of action. Though we can't eliminate all the risks in our lives, but what we can do to a certain extent is manage the risks and adopt healthy lifestyle. Thank you for, we'll meet you again in the next part of my talk. There we'll talk about interlink between this cancer and carcinogens. Thank you.